we start with a session, and hopefully you are right here. Yes, you are right here, and hopefully you are right here. Yes, you are right here for Microsoft Teams 2024 for working councils and data protection officers. Why I create this session, I would take a little bit later about it. So welcome. Thank you very much for the organization. Thank you very much for the moderators like Peter or Michael. So for me, let's start. And I try, and Teams Nation also, like Teams community, is a little bit of trying. I have a pen here. I want to sign and paint a little bit today. Hopefully it works, but let's test and let's start with the session. I have around 40 minutes. We had a little Q&A at the end, so we will see what happens. Okay, what's my name? Why I'm here? My name is Raphael Koellner. I'm the CEO of a conservice company and also of a digital lawyer, so a lawyer firm, and I'm a group DPO of a worldwide car builder company. So I'm in 3 business positions, and also I'm one of these community guys, these MVPs for Office Apps and Services, Azure and Windows, and also one of these regional directors. And my favorite topic is compliance, like also Peter and some other friends out of the MVP community. And we all together fight for better compliance, for better configuration, for better discussion all about it. And me, I'm switching into the group DPO position. So I'm a consultant on the one hand, and also out of the daily practice of the group DPO. And so that's a little bit the thing of this session. I'm discussing a lot with working councils and also with colleagues as group DPOs, also with my DPOs in the countries. So I'm very happy to deliver today, a practical session. How we handle Microsoft Teams 2024, how we handle topics out of the last 3 months in this area, and as I think, okay, go a little bit into practical trouble. So trouble. We start with this little agenda introduction, a little bit of overview, topics, my topic cloud 2024, and I take some special topics with me, some with screenshots, some without screenshots. That's why I have a pen here, that I can use my pen and painting a little bit into the slide. So at the end, when I paint into all of the slides, I extract it as a PDF and we can share it. So you don't need to, or you can make screenshots, that's okay, but you don't need to write everything down. I will paint it into the slides. Hopefully great, we will see it. So if you have any questions, and Peter, thank you, use the chat. I will answering your questions in the little spaces or in the little free time between the slides or between the chapters. So if you have any questions, so feel free to chat and to use the chat. So go forward. A little bit of introductions, current status of data privacy and working council in combination with Microsoft 365 in Europe. And I said that we want to have a more practical thing out of my daily work as a DPO and a group DPO, and as a part of a working council of a lot of working council teams. So I center here, okay, we have on the one hand, we're starting every time with data privacy and going on to working council. So we have here, and I have a pen, oh, wonderful, I have a pen here. So let's start, we start with, it's working. No, it's not working, wonderful. It's working. It's a little bit slow, but it's working. Pen, wonderful. My pen is working. We start with data privacy, and what I show here is the typical questions of a data privacy officer. Typical question of me when my IT team comes to me and said, "Hey, Raphael, I want to deliver Microsoft Teams, and I want to deliver the new client. I want to deliver new features, and every time, or I want to deliver NetIn or a Teams app. I every time ask these questions." Which data will be proceed? Which personal data will be proceed? Where are the data stored? Where the data will be proceed? Do we have AI here? So we have special AI regulations in EU. Do we have a data transfer of these data into US, into China, into third-party countries? Also, for example, do we have transfer to Sweden, to Norway? Do we have transfer of any data, of personal data here? Can we delete this data automatically? Is there a deletion policy we can use? For example, for Microsoft Copilot, we have a new deletion policy. I will show a little bit later. Is this deletion automatically or manually? And can we deliver the information of interest parties so that when someone has a questions like 15, and let's paint it here, like 15 GDPR, that someone wants to know how you proceed our data. And this is my main question. I ask the IT team, can you give me the information how you proceed my data? Like where you store it, where is the contract parties, do you have a security functionality of this? So Article 15, GDPR, and also for me, very interesting is Article 32, GDPR. Oh, I think I'll need to write a little bit better, but okay, you understand it. So 33, this is for the technical or control measures, so encryption, baseline, data privacy, and all of this. And Article 15 is for the users who wants to know how we proceed the data. And this is what I want to know about all of the functionalities of Microsoft Teams, also of the new client, for example. We will talk a little later about it. Second one is, and this is first one and second one, is the Working Council. The Working Council, for me, this is a part of a company who brings into the same level of communication, the same level of how you work into a company between the company owner and the leadership executive board and the employees. And these party of the company, the Working Council, has typically these questions. Can my manager monitoring me with Microsoft Teams? Can my manager control me with Microsoft Teams? Can my manager record meetings without I'm knowing this? Is there a transcription? So what I'm talking is transcribed to text, and the manager can take this text and come to me and say, Raphael, you say this was not okay, or whatever. So do we have a specified place for work where I'm talking about some functionality which is new with I'm remote or I am in the office? Do I need to use these feature in Teams or not? And also the performance monitoring. How do the employee perform? Can we see this performance monitoring with collaboration? So what you see, you have two different views on Microsoft Teams with two different topics. The data privacy topic is more about proceeding personal data in a secure way. The second one is the Working Council, and the Working Council asks more about monitoring, performance monitoring, how the employees can be controlled, and all of this. So that's very interesting for me to change the view on all of the functionality of Microsoft Teams, on all functionality that will come in Microsoft Teams, to bring Microsoft Teams and to bring Microsoft Teams in a usage of compliance in these two areas, data privacy and Working Council. So these are typical questions out of the practical everyday work. And with these typical questions, I go and we want to talk about more practical. I go into the Microsoft 365 Message Center, also to Text Community, to X, to PGI calls of Microsoft, to Microsoft Teams blogs. So the Microsoft product group has their own blogs also as a part of the tech community, but they have also more blogs. So there are different sources where you see new functionality of Microsoft Teams. The most of you know the Message Center, so that's why I make here a screenshot of the Message Center. And you see here actual screenshot 1 hour ago. Actually, there's this screenshot because you see we have news, for example, every 3 days, every day we have 2 to 3 news, but on 16th February, we have 20 news. So sometimes we have a lot of news at the same day, and sometimes we have only 2 or 3 news. And now what I'm doing is, every day, also with my IT team, with my working council team, I look at these news. And what I do is, for the last 3 months, I collected all of these news. And when I collected all of the changes of Microsoft Teams, I see 653 changes. Yes, that's also the change to the new Teams client. And in Teams client, we have new features, but also in the classic client, we have some feature changes, and we have some things like renaming. So live events to town hall meetings, that's also a change for me. So every change, so we have a lot of changes in 3 months. That's a lot of. And every change, I have a look at it. And I look at the change, okay, for example, renaming. Okay, renaming, that's something not relevant for data privacy and working council. Yes, when you have a working council agreement and you call it live event, okay, in the next chapter, in the next actuation round, you can say, okay, town hall meeting is a live event, and fine. But it's very interesting that I found on the last 3 months, out of these 635, I found around 45 news features, updates that are data privacy relevant. And I found 25 what are relevant for the working council. Relevant for the working council, what I mean is, relevant for the working council is when the working council can say no, or can say, okay, let's discuss about it, or can say, okay, we have to bring these news into our attachment of our working council agreement to Microsoft 365. And then when I look at these, at the end, where we discussed, and let me paint one more time, and I opened a little bit bigger. So what we discussed at the end are 6, and what we discussed for 5 to 6 news, or 6 to 8 news. So around what we are discussing, these are relevant, and what we are discussing are only a few news. So that's very interesting that we have a lot of news. And from these, a lot of it's like a little bit, it's cybersecurity. We have a lot of signals. Some of these signals are relevant, and only some of these relevant signals we have to discuss. And today, I bring you some of these relevant news, and will you explain why we discussed and why it's interesting for data privacy officer and also for the working council. So what we have is Microsoft Teams in 2024, last 3 months, or we started in December. We have a lot of news. We have a lot of updates of functionality. We had a lot of things what is changing. This year, 2024, is not only Copilot, it's also Microsoft Teams year for me when I look at these feature and functionalities. So, and I think let's start a little bit and go forward in my session, because I want to give you in the next 10 minutes, also 5 minutes for working council and also for data privacy, a little bit basics. And then we go deeper into Microsoft Teams with my topic Cloud 2024. And then we go deeper into the different topics. I wrote down around 5, 6 topics. If you have also one of a topic you want to discuss, also use the chat, pin it here, and maybe also, not maybe, I can create a new slide and we can paint and we can talk about these topics. So a little bit of knowledge, and this is for me very important because we have changes in the EU. And so this is the basic knowledge of Microsoft 365 and data privacy. We start, and this is what we start here, is the regulation on EU level. On EU level, we have GDPR, yeah. We have a kind of GDPR also for UK. UK left the EU, but the data privacy rules are not changing in a big way. They're changing, yes, but not in a big way. So they are nearly to GDPR. And in the EU, we have also AI Act, we have DORA, we have Data Act, and we have NIS2. NIS2 is more cybersecurity, but for me, it's also data privacy relevant because cybersecurity and rising up a level of cybersecurity helps us for technical oriented measures in data privacy. So article, you remember, 32, GDPR. GDPR is relevant and so very interesting. Data Act is how you handle the data. It's not only data privacy, but it's a kind of it. No, it's not really that way, but it's a kind of it. So we have to talk about it. And AI Act, which also is very interesting for Microsoft Copilot, for my own OpenAI features and products. We have to think about it, what these AI is doing, in which category of the AI Act is it a high sensitive, high risky AI or not? And with the high risky, for example, we need to be more transparent. So this is what we see and what happened in data privacy when we have a look to Microsoft Teams. And yes, we have also the discussion about telecommunication. In Germany, we talk about TKG. This is a special law for telecommunication, for phone calling and all of this. So we have also a discussion with data privacy, deletion policies, and phone calling today. So the topic is that we can't delete in 7 days every of these telecommunication protocol or metadata, and this is a little bit of discussion. We take here 7 days as an hint for you. So 7 days deletion, and this is also a discussion we have with data privacy and data privacy. And this is in bringing it to Microsoft Teams. It's easier today because we have EU boundary. Okay, I don't write. So sometimes the people said I have to be a doctor when I write. Okay, boundary. Step 2 is finished. That's really great. Step 2 means everything of the data, of customer data from a EU tenant with the EU contract and the EU bill address, everything is hosted in EU. So everything of personal data or customer data is hosted in EU. Not everything. That's also what I discussed with my data privacy colleagues. It's a kind of how old is your tenant, and then you see where the data will be proceed. And yes, this is what we need to know. And if you have a tenant 5 years or is starting this year, everything is not everything, but 90% of the data will be proceed in EU. And here a little bit of hint when we're talking about data privacy and going a little bit into technical is a Teams meeting. And this is really interesting. Teams meeting is a card of where you start the meeting. And this is very interesting. We tested this and we talked with the product group, and you see it also in the documentary since this year. When you start a Microsoft Teams meeting and you have a Teams meeting like this meeting, and the first one who joined the meeting or joined the lobby comes from US, the meeting will be hosted in the US data center. So that I said every time to my employees, to my colleagues, when you create a Teams meeting, please join the meeting directly, that the meeting will be hosted in EU. So this is also some of the disadvantages of EU boundary. Everything is in EU boundary. No, we have to look for the feature, also for the features at Microsoft Teams. For example, my best example is here a Microsoft Teams meeting. It starts in EU when you create it and join it. So please join your Microsoft Teams meetings, your webinars directly. So the meeting will be deployed, and it will be deployed in a EU data center, not in the US or into APAC data center when someone out of this region joins a Teams meeting before. So that's a little bit data privacy to Microsoft Teams. So from regulation to Microsoft Teams, yes, you have a lot of configuration for Microsoft Teams, and you have the basic principles of data privacy, basic principles, BP, basic principle of data minimization. So delete of chat, your one-to-one chats, for example, after 30 days, after 60 days are normal. Delete the teams you don't need, expiration policies, all of this. Please delete the feedback functionality. So no feedback to Microsoft Teams via the user. It's also a cyber risk part, but these are the typical baseline of my data privacy and Microsoft Teams. Okay. This is a little bit to data privacy and Microsoft Teams, a little bit of introduction. And this is very funny. I don't think that most of you looking at the Working Council working more with the data privacy officer, information protection officer, or with the compliance officer together. The Working Council is for Europe really special, that we have people, they have meetings, and you have to go there and you make a contract with the Working Council how to use the software. So it's not you use this software, it's more how to use the software. So we have to how to use the software, to use okay, I will paint a little bit better. How to use the software. This is the main question. You close a contract, you make a regulation with your working councils together. And yes, it is possible that the working councils say no. Yes, and that's also possible that we have a huge legal contract, a huge legal process with a decision at the end. And in Germany, we have this 4 years before. We have a huge legal case for Microsoft 365. And the higher court in Germany said, yes, Microsoft 365 is a part of the Working Council functionality, and a part of that the Working Council need to close a contract with the company, not for every feature. You see 600 to 25, not for every feature, but for some of them and for the most of them, for the introduction and implementation of the software also. So we have to bring the Working Council into our process and talk with our colleagues. The Working Council are our colleagues out of the company, talking with our colleagues how to use the software, how it is possible to use the reports, for example, how it's possible to use the recording of a Microsoft Teams meeting. So very, very interesting. And putting these together, it is very interesting, and you see we have more than 600 of news. You need to handling this evergreen system. And what I do is practically. No, we don't have a consulting team or a Microsoft partner who helps. We want to do today a practical session. What do we do in practical? We have these big dark hole of news. We talk about 633. What we do is, okay, we bring these news to the product owner and the product owner of Microsoft Teams. And he is looking, okay, which can be relevant. And the product owner brings it to InfoSec, data privacy, and brings it to Data Privacy Working Council. And when we have this, we have a gremium, we have a part of our company, which is a steering committee, and this said, okay, we bring these, for example, 8 features to the Working Council, and let's talk about these 8 features. I need to for your slide, I will use the text, not to paint. These 8 features into the Working Council, and let's talk about it, how we use these 8 features, for example, or we have a feature change like live events to town hall meetings. Let's talk about the Working Council about it. So we bring all of these news via the IT team, the product owner, and the product owner team to InfoSec, Data Privacy and Working Council. So cybersecurity also sometimes, so InfoSec and cybersecurity. And then we have a steering committee where we said, okay, these 8 features we bring to the Working Council directly and talk with him. And this is a part what we're doing. So monthly we have around 4 to 6, or sometimes only 2 functionalities we bring into the Working Council or into the IT part of the Working Council, and we talk with them. And the data privacy officer is the same. Okay, I'm the IT guy and geek of data privacy officer, but the normal data privacy also gets the same features like the Working Council, and we talked about it. So this is a little bit out of practice how we handle Microsoft Teams functionalities and features in use in these parts. So really great. Let's have a look into the chat. Marcel is posting it. Location for the Microsoft Teams meeting location. This is very, very interesting. This is one of my typical examples. There's also a source into the Microsoft MS Learn documentary now. I wrote some sentence and something for this in GitHub, so the product group put it in. So that's very, very interesting. Okay, okay, we have a question. What I thought, can you speak about Brexit working councils or team members' data and peer review like DLP, e-discovery console? Yeah, we can do it. I do it at the end, and I be a little bit faster. So yeah, we can talk about DLP and e-discovery and content search. Okay, I take it in my mind. Okay, go forward for news. And I can put it in my slide here. We talk about DLP and e-discovery content search. Content search. So discovery. Okay, this is when the surface turns up so that you see my camera and I write down. So it's not the best idea, but okay. I extract some of these 650 features and I put here voice isolation, speaker coach, town hall meetings, Microsoft Copilot. Okay, everything needs to talk about Microsoft Copilot, the new Teams client, DLP and e-discovery. So I put some of these new features and functionality which are come this month and which will become in March. So voice isolation needs to become today, but they moved it into March, into April. So, but it's also important to talk about voice isolation also on IntelliFrame. That's a kind of it. So let's start with a little bit talking about these news and these functionality. And we have to start with Microsoft Copilot. Yes, we have to start with Microsoft Copilot. And for Microsoft Copilot, we have these. This is one of the basic information slides. Hopefully you see it today one more time. I don't need to explain it. What I bring with you from my last Ignite visit, I bring you the basics of Microsoft Copilot in connection with data privacy. So remember my question of the beginning. Where's the data transferred? Where's the data proceed? Is the data technical automated encrypted? And where the data will be proceed and will be handled? And these slides is a little bit is the answer of my questions from the beginning. What the typical questions of a data privacy officer and also the working council wants to know where my data will be proceed. And we see here the Microsoft Copilot customer data are encrypted, addressed, and in transit. So same like Microsoft 365. We have also Copilot as a part of the EU boundary program, and we have also the customer data in the default tenant in the tenant geography. So EU boundary and these parts is a little bit of together. So yes, we have this, and yes, we have DPA, we have terms of data residency, make it a little bit bigger for you. We have this here also, make it bigger. We had product terms data residency so that the data stays in Europe without a kind of misuse. Misuse will be transferred to US for 30 days. Hopefully in the next weeks it will stay also in Europe. I'm here in close contact with the product group. We have multi-geo capabilities. We had advanced data residency. So for €2.50 you pay, and then Copilot and part of Copilot like PureView will only proceed in your tenant region. That's great, but you have to pay for every user €2.50 for your whole time. You can't say I pay 1 month and everything's ready. No, you have to pay for the whole lifetime of your tenant. And EU boundary program is ready. And this is what I like. Okay, these are my first questions. What are the next questions? I will bring you the slides from Ignite and January 24. So from Ignite last year and from last month. And you see here, yeah, I wrote also some blog posts about it. That's very interesting for working council and for data privacy. Let's start for data privacy. We talked about commercial and enterprise grade data protection. And this is very, very interesting because is there a different for Microsoft Copilot? Yes, we have these commercial data protection and enterprise grade data protection. This is what we don't have for ChatGPT. So that's good. We use Microsoft and we use via Microsoft ChatGPT, and we have these two of guarantees, these two of things we can use, and commercial data protection and enterprise grade data protection together said that Microsoft don't train their ChatGPT, don't train their LLMs with our customer data. This is what I want to know as a data privacy officer and as a working council part. And what Microsoft also said, that they don't store the data for LLM training, that they don't use the data, that they protect our personal data, that when we bring data into Microsoft Copilot, that they don't use these data for training too, that we can bring our customer data into these Copilot to get better results, but nothing happens there and nothing transfer into other regions or everything when we use Microsoft Copilot. This is for both, and for enterprise grade is data protection is also that we have the DPA, that we have an enterprise agreement, and all of these additional contracts, and also some of these NDA additional contracts are working also for Microsoft Copilot. So that is very, very interesting. Hopefully in the next update of DPA and product terms, Microsoft Copilot will be also a part of the official product list. I'm working on it, so we see all of this. This is very, very interesting. So basic on Copilot. Yes, at the end, what you need to do when you want to start with Copilot, you need for data privacy, you need a risk assessment, you need the Article 13 information for your users that you are using Copilot in Microsoft 365 or the Copilot also for Edge. And what you need to do is you have, and this is the most important thing for the data protection officer beside these risk assessment, you need to define how you use Copilot for which parts in your company, which teams in your company, for which process do you need or do you use the Copilot, for example, for creating pictures and creating texts for recruiting in LinkedIn, for example. This is one of these typical things. So as you as an IT member, you want to start with Copilot and bring it to the data protection officer, please define how you want to use Copilot. For the working council, when you start with Copilot and the working council, the information from data protection officer, so that's why we start, bring it to the working council. That's nearly the same question. And please answering the question for the working council, can the manager, for example, use what's new with Raphael Koellner as my employee and list me all what he do in the last weeks, what he's working, so we have a control monitoring of employee. And I can say, no, this is not working. This is only working for the same documents you are working with the person together. So you have to explain, and often on my side, you have an organizational measure, an organizational contract with your working council that the manager are not allowed to use these different prompts and functionality to monitor employee. But this is very interesting when we talked about Copilot and these. Okay. Question for working council and Copilot. Is there any support resources available for working councils in Microsoft 365? No. Nope. There is no special area for working councils. You have in some subsidiaries of Microsoft, for example, the subsidiary in Germany, they make every 3 months or every 2 months making a monthly meeting for working council and Copilot. We have some community blogs like my blog or some other MVPs they are delivering, but a special documentation official area of Microsoft 365. There is something for data privacy, but not for working council. But it's a good idea. I take this information with me. I called it last September to talking about and making a documentation for Copilot in working council, and Microsoft said, no, we don't need this. But thank you, Adam, for this. I will take this information with me and said, oh, I had a webinar, and there are some people that want the same that I want since last September. So let's start with the documentation part nearby to the data privacy and compliance MS Learn course and MS Learn documentation to the working council special. That's a good idea. Let me take these impulse with me and said to the Microsoft product group, we need this. Hopefully it works. Okay. So very interesting. Let's in part of time, let's go a little bit forward. And let's start with the new Teams client. Microsoft Teams client, very interesting. We have a new Microsoft Teams client. What do you think? Microsoft Teams client, for the most of you, and the IT guy said, okay, it's technically a little bit different. It's a different client. We can switch the tenants. We have a little bit of different infrastructure in the background. It's more like the web app when we talk about it. But for data privacy, it's new. Because for data privacy, I want to have, we go to Article 33 GDPR, and what I want is a pen test. I want a pen test of the new client because I want to know if the client is usage or the usage of client is secure, that we don't have any data they will transfer outside, that we don't have telemetry data transfer outside. So pen test, Wireshark, Fiddler, monitoring, that's what I do as a data privacy officer, to look at it and said, okay, maybe we have a pen test with cybersecurity team together to pen test the new client. Then we have to look, okay, how the switching is handling. So what I need and what I do for my people is I make a training, not a course, I make a training for the new client for sharing data, switching the tenants, because you can switch, and all you know this, you can switch the tenant and make a window, Microsoft Teams window open where you chat or where you making communication, uploading files to another tenant. But it looks like it's in your tenant, because in the old client, it don't work that you are in your environment and chatting with someone outside. So we need training, because, and this is very interesting, training, I need to write a little bit better, because this is very, very interesting, working council. That's very interesting because in the last 6 months with the new client, I have around, and I'm supporting around 45 companies with data privacy. And these 45 companies with around 1,500,000 Microsoft Teams accounts and clients, we have more than 1,000 data privacy leaks. We have to go to the national office and said, okay, we have a data leak because the people are sending data in the wrong tenant. Yes, it works. It's like sending emails to the wrong people. Is here sending, chatting, uploading files to the wrong tenant. So training. So security, pen test, and training. And maybe when you have no functionality, you have to update Article 13. So the data privacy information, that is a little bit of update. So this is what we do here and what we have to take care when we talk about new client. Working council is very interesting because it's working council. We talk, okay, security is fine, data privacy is okay, that's fine. We give this information to the working council, but the working council have, for example, the new feature remote or office. You see it that you can choose where you are working. That's interesting for your colleagues, for example, but for the working council, this is a part of control of the employees. The manager see where is the employee working, and the most of the companies has, for example, the regulation that the people need to work 2 days into the office and only 3 days remote. And when the manager is seeing this, and for example, you don't switch your team setting because you are in trouble or whatever, and you see, okay, it's remote, but you are sitting in the office, and the manager said, okay, you are not 2 days in the office, you don't get so much money at the end of the month, or you get a bad notice, a red flag for your working contract because you don't follow the rule. That's very interesting. So these are kind of parts, the remote or office, this little feature is very interesting. You have to talk with your working council about it into the new client, and also with these tenant switching, how you work in third-party environments. That is what you have environments. That's what you have to talk about. Okay, a little bit faster because we don't have so much time. We have a question. Wait, fast. Since the remote office isn't a mandatory or can be enforced, this is for working council. It must be mandatory, so the user has to sign it. For automatically or enforcement, I don't know. I don't think so. out of my perspective, no, it's not possible. It's not like the red bar when I'm presenting and I have a red icon with the white minus in it. No, this is automatically, or when I'm in a meeting. No, for Office or remote, you can't enforce it. But so that's okay. That's fine that you can't enforce it. That the user can choose it, and yeah, maybe in the future, I know what you mean. Maybe in the future, it can be a part of a regulation that you said, okay, when you joining the IP address of the company, it's switching to Office or whatever. But currently, it's mandatory. And yes, what Jan said. Working council, everything is opt-in. Yes, that's typical. Okay, fast. I have some minutes. Okay, we are done, but I think I have some minutes more. Voice isolation, very fast. What is voice isolation? It comes into March. When I have a look at it, what is voice isolation? I see it here. Voice isolation is a part of noise suppression. So here you see, here is voice isolation. So that is noise suppression 2.0, but it's very interesting when you see it in your client. This is in German, but when you go into the new client, it's only the new Teams client. Go onto devices, and there is a next one, and then you see here voice, and you start it, and when it started, you have it AI model KI. You have an AI model of your voice. And that's very interesting. And that's very interesting for working council and also for data privacy officer. For me, in the first time is, please deactivate. It's enabled. You see it here. This is also my test tenant. It's enabled automatically. So go to your tenant, set CS Teams meeting policy, voice isolation, disable, and then discuss with your working council, also with the data privacy. Because what is my most thing why it's not okay? That's not okay that you have an AI voice model of your voice. Maybe that's part of the regulation of AI Act also, and you can't delete it. So you can't delete it only when you delete the user. So when you test it, please use a test user and delete the test user after it. It's not in every tenant today because Microsoft moving the rollout to March to April. But this is very, very interesting for data privacy and working council. Working council, you need a part of the attachment of the contract with the working council with data privacy officer. Yes, you need to put it in Article 13 information. One more, and there's a part of it, IntelliFrame. Who has Teams room systems? IntelliFrame, this is a new functionality also for the new Teams client and the new Teams room system with the Teams Pro licensing. You see here, when I'm coming into the room or I'm sitting in the room and I'm talking, the camera goes to my face. And this is very, very interesting that it comes really to my face. It knows my face. It analyzed my face. So it comes really near with the camera to my face. Yes, Poly and Jabra has this functionality, but now this functionality comes from the Teams client. So you have to talk with the data privacy officer and also with the working council about it, how to use this functionality or to deactivate this functionality. Currently, I'm testing this functionality with my IT team, and I said, okay, I put outside of the room, I make a sign where we said AI is working, so that people knows, okay, AI is working into the room to test this room, and after a test, we want to put it into the Article 13 information and inform our people that their face will be scanned for this functionality for better functionality at the end. The same and then let's talk a little bit about DLP. Also, the same is for Speaker Coach. Who of you knows the Speaker Coach functionality in PowerPoint? Not everything, starting 2021. Oh, some, Peter, very good. Some of you is knowing. Now it comes to Microsoft Teams. And this is the PowerPoint view. And you have the same for nearly the same for Microsoft Teams. So this is moving to Microsoft Teams. And yes, it's productive today. In my tenant, it's working, but I don't activate it now. But it's working, and you get at the end information about how your presentation works. Do you talk too fast, like me? I'm talking every time too fast. How you work, how you are presenting, and you get these information at the end. And currently, yes, it's working in English, but for me, in my preview tenant, it's working also in German. So it will comes also in German, Spain, France, Italy, and all of this. So currently in English, yeah, that's correct. But in this session, yes, it can work, but it will come also in German. So you have to talk with your data privacy officer and your working council about the speaker coach functionality. Currently, you can deactivate it in the admin center or via PowerShell for the whole tenant. In the future, and yes, this is public, we will have a functionality in webinars, in Microsoft Live events, so town hall meetings, and also in Teams meetings, that the meeting owner can activate or deactivate this feature. And it's also working for B2B guests and for your speaker too. And what is for me very important for the data privacy officer and also for the working council, only the speakers see the results. And the manager can't, or with e-discovery and all the IT admins can't extract these reports. So the report is only for the speaker and only for the presenter. This was very, very important for me. So speaker coach for me, yes, you have to talk about it, but it's not so really important that you need to deactivate it. So now we go here and let's delete here the slide for the last one. And I said that we talk a little bit about DLP, e-discovery. Now you see me, e-discovery and content search. For me, that's really easy for DLP. And I can draw here also, and then I'm finishing my session. For DLP, you need an attachment. Also we're talking about working council. You need an attachment for your working council contract, or in Germany Betriebsvereinbarung. The working council contract, there's an attachment for DLP, for preview, or I do everything separate. So for DLP, and you said, okay, how DLP is working, and the best is DLP is working automatically, and only, for example, 3 people from the administration office has access. And hopefully, and this is the best one, you have a regulation about, for example, people doing misuse, people doing bad things. And there is also a contract with the working council that's okay, in these areas, it's allowed to take this information and bring it to the HR, bring it to the compliance officer, and then go to the employee and said, okay, you do some bad things, we have to delete your contract, for example. Discovery, this is the first one, and the second one is this e-discovery and content search. That's nearly the same. Nearly the same means you can search for information. You have a look into the mailbox of the user. You have a look into the OneDrive, SharePoint sites, and everything. And that's a little bit of this regulation of how you arrest, how you handle bad people. And that's the same for here. I do, okay, the e-discovery and content search is allowed in these scenarios. Scenario 1, 2, 3. And these scenarios is allowed, and the working council need to be informed before usage. And what we do here is the working council need to be before, and the executive board of the working council, it's 1 or 2 people are a part of usage of e-discovery. So the working council together with the IT guy, together with HR and the compliance officer, using e-discovery to extract the data or delete also a Teams chat. So communication, transparency is the way we use here to use these functionality and to work with these functionality together. Okay, I'm talking a little bit too much. 9 minutes over it. So let's take a look a little bit into the chat. What we have here. So we have a little bit Q&A at the end. I can talk 1 week about this because there are so much interesting topics and interesting features we have to talk about. For example, transcription and all of this are very, very interesting. But we will talk next time when we have more time about it.